Sie hören Sport und Musik.
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Oh, how we doing? Welcome to episode 2 of the Schnitzel Boys. The Schnitzel Boys 2 Full Throttle, where we talk all things German and American Fußball. I am your co-host, Stefan Schnitzel, alongside my other co-host, Bjorn Schnitzel. Bjorn, how you doing today, bud?
I am great. I will never stop banging my head to that music.
100%. So real quick, you were mute, so we didn't really hear that this time around. I sent you a private chat. We're still figuring out our audio here. We're still figuring it out. But so I played it, and we played with a little. We're still figuring it out a little bit. Hey, and we've got a viewer.
We have one viewer.
That's all good. We have a viewer. Okay, it's one more than last week. I'm sure we're not supposed to talk about our low viewership, but in the vein of the great Conan O'Brien, who made fun of his show all the time in the 90s, I will adopt that same policy. But anyway, welcome to the Schnitzel Boys, our second ever broadcast.
Yeah, we're very
How you doing
happy,
today, Bjorn?
We're very happy you're here, mystery viewer. I'm doing great. I had a great weekend, soccer-wise. I mean, both of my teams won. We'll get to it, but it was a delight.
Yeah, you had a big week. I had a pretty decent weekend myself, but you had quite a weekend. So yeah, we talk all things German and American. Do you want to get into the American stuff first? I think I'm feeling the American stuff. Do you want to do the German stuff after this?
Sure,
what are you
yeah. I'm everything. It's all roses for me this week.
Well, I guess first things first. The Major League Soccer season is heating up, and we got about 4 or 5 games left, and we're getting into the playoffs. This is the most exciting part of the MLS season, is heading into the playoffs and the playoffs. I love this time of year. So why don't you start us off? Why don't you give us a rundown on how things have been for NYCFC after not scoring a goal, 4 games in a row?
It's been a 500. Well, that streak ended on Wednesday, late in the game in Atlanta. 509, I believe, scoreless minutes, which it's feast or famine for NYCFC this season. Earlier this season, we had a streak of a club record streak of multiple games where we scored in multiple consecutive games. And then now there was a drought, 509 minutes. It ended on Wednesday with a free kick goal from Iceland's Gudmundur Thorarinsson.
Say that one more time.
Gudmundur Thorarinsson.
Gudmundur Thorarinsson. What a great free kick. A Roberto Carlos style free kick.
Yeah,
maybe not so much, but still quite impressive.
I have not been that happy about a goal in a long time. I mean, it really had been so long that I got pretty excited on my couch. I did not go to Atlanta. And then so that led to a 1-1 tie, and then on Saturday the floodgates opened 6-0 against DC United, and the first three in the first 11 minutes. It was hard to believe.
Thiago, and you were at the stadium, right?
I was at the stadium. Funny thing was the fan base has been discontent. There's been calls to fire Coach Ronny Deila, and one of those discontented fans, he brought a banner to the game that said Deila out, and he showed it and then 10 minutes in he was joking about throwing it away, and then eventually he ended up flipping it over and it just said Deila, and he was
why would he's looking around suspiciously. He's like, oh yeah, I just brought a giant thing that said your name, that's all. It's just a giant, just says Deila. So not even an exclamation point.
So-
Not even an exclamation point. Just a Dyla. Like, this is the name of you.
This is the name of you. I know your name.
I know your name.
And by the end of it, he was leading Dyla in chants. So a dramatic turnaround in the psyche of this man.
So what kind of a chant is that? Like, it's not like people. It's not like people who are happy with their coach just go Dyla in. It's clearly in response to them wanting your head. Otherwise, they wouldn't say that. Well, so it's almost like a compliment. Be like, hey, look, you're not as fat as I thought you were. Congratulations.
You are thinner than I. Yeah, I think this started when during the days of Dome Torrent, who faced sort of similar scrutiny, and there were some people then that made Dome in T-shirts
because people wanted him out.
There was Dome out was trending on Twitter, and so then they were the Dome in people. So
I thought it was fine. What were your opinions on Dominic Torrent, the man from Barcelona, right?
He was Pep's assistant, Pep Guardiola's assistant in
right.
And I think he had some history in the Barcelona academy. He was
at Bayern, right?
He was Pep's assistant in Bayern as well. He was fine. He was, I think, as a coach, he was great. He had a little bit of, he had to take over in the middle of the season for Patrick Vieira, who left us in the middle of the night, basically, for Nice. And he then had to come in at short notice and kind of, it took him a while, and kind of the team changed from being very good under Vieira to kind of, it just took a while, his coaching change.
I would have no idea what it's like to lose a head coach in the middle of a season. I have no idea. To go to Europe at around exactly the same time. I have no idea what that's like.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I thought at the time I was looking at the Red Bulls for consist. I was like, this is an example where they're handling this well. Chris Armas coming in, seemingly coming in hot and being part of the system. And I was like, yeah, that was very seamless. Whereas Dome kind of changed everything, and it took him a while to turn it around. But eventually, it all worked out. Except he seemed very thin-skinned about this kind of thing. He was on Twitter a lot, and he would talk. Dome Torrent. Spend a lot of time on social media and would sort of, was defensive in press conferences about what people said about him, and it seemed like he didn't quite have the. And this is Major League Soccer, like where this is all relatively tame compared to what like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is experiencing right now.
Yeah.
So, but
I think Antonio Conte is hanging out in Manchester these days.
His agent is certainly well connected to the press. It seems like.
You know what Dominic Torrent needs a little bit of? He needs a little bit of attitude adjustment, just like this. You know what I mean? He's got to be alles klar. He's got to relax. You know what? In New York Red Bulls and NYCFC both solved their coaching problems by firing them and hiring new guys. You with Ronny Deila, and us with Gerhard Struber. The Austrian man. And you know what's an Austrian song? To the other drop. I'm going to play the drop over and over.
We're getting the maximum value out of our drops. Yes, it's true.
100%. 100%.
Dome Torrent did not have that relaxed attitude. That is.
And what's he been up to lately? I think he
had a job. He had a job in Brazil briefly, and he was fired there. And I think.
Oh wow! I think I remember that.
Since then, he has not. Yeah, I mean, he kind of. We'll never really know what happened. There was some talk that him and Claudio Reyna did not get along, and Claudio Reyna was looking to bring in his friend Gio van Bronckhorst as his successor. But then everybody left at the end of the season. Claudio Reyna went to Austin.
Yeah.
Gio van Bronckhorst went, I don't know where he went, but somewhere else. And then Dome just quit in exasperation, and that's been the end of that. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many foreign coaches have come to MLS and quit in exasperation.
Ronny
goes
Deila,
on and on and on.
Ronny Deila, over the last, I just read this stat a couple weeks ago. The Ronny Deila, of all foreign-born coaches in MLS over the last 3 years, Ronny Deila is the only one with a winning record.
Yeah, you know what that makes him?
Richtig, genau. I'm the master, Bacha master.
That makes him the master, the butcher master. Sorry, I'm having fun with my drops. I got drops, folks. I just figured out the drops from last week, and we're gonna have fun with some drops.
Our viewer is still there, thank God.
Thank God. Do you like our drops? No. Maybe. But, sometimes you'll say, yeah. All right. Yeah, so talk to me. So what happened? What changed? At the last minute goal, did that just open up a can of worms? Now they're scoring again? Like what? Just talk me through the game. 6-0. 6 beautiful goals unanswered against the DC scum, as we call it here at New York Red Bulls.
Oh, the Red Bulls? Yeah. You don't
call them the scum.
We had some serious help from the DC United defense, especially early on. The first goal was beautiful, cross in from Malde Amundsen, our much maligned left back, who has not been consistently great, but was very good on Saturday, and he got the assist. Thiago scored. And then they were really 2 pretty serious flops by the DC defense. Bill Hamid couldn't clear a ball good enough, and Tati Castellanos just took it one time and chipped it over him. And then on the third goal, the defender literally fell down as he was trying to pass the ball back, and then Tati just cleaned that up. And then it was kind of, at that point on, it was kind of the goose was cooked, as they say. And we could have had more. Hamid made actually a few great saves in the second half. Eber a couple times looked like he may get his first goal since coming back from injury. I mean, it was just a different kind of a thing. I mean, the team hasn't been as bad as the results, I would say. There's been a few games where, maybe we deserved a little more. And I'm hoping that this is not that they didn't just score the rest of the season's goals in one game. I'm hoping that we're gonna have more left where that came
There's
from.
Only one way to find out. Who are you guys playing next?
We're at home against the Chicago Fire, who embarrassed us a few weeks ago on the road. We now have them at home, and so hopefully we can back this up.
Well, Chicago Fire, I believe, is eliminated from playoff contention, or at least close.
Yes, they have been. Yes, that's true.
And if you're a team that's been eliminated, either A, you give up, or B, you play like there's no tomorrow. And when you play like there's no tomorrow, that's a dangerous team to play against, So on paper, you'd think NYCFC should be able to handle Chicago Fire. The New York Red Bulls historically have always had problems with the Fire. As far as the amount of times we've beaten them, I think in Chicago maybe 0, if not 1 at best. I think at home it's also pretty limited. They're just they're a tricky, scrappy team, but on paper you guys should be able to pull it off. So the time will tell. Was last night a fluke of some silly errors and a weird one night only type, any given Sunday, some one night stand dealio, or was it the beginning of, all right, machin, let's do this. We're doing this. And now NYCFC's been doing well, but who else has been doing pretty dang well as of late?
The New Jersey Red Bulls? No.
The New Jersey Red Bulls, okay? Or the New York Red Bulls, as professionally they're known. Or the Red Bulls, hell if I know. Or the Metros, as the fan call it, or when they first started, they were called Red Bull New York. We flipped it around. But either way, that's neither here nor there. The New York Red Bulls beat the Columbus Crew 2-1 in Columbus. A great opening goal. Then Columbus got the equalizer later in the first half. And at the death, Sean Nealis with like a karate kick style goal. Not as much as Sebastian Leget's, which we'll get to in a bit. Just nailing it in the back and that, giving us a 2-1 win. We would have been happy with a 1-1 draw. 2-1 win is great. That puts... Last week, you and I, NYCFC and the Red Bulls, were outside looking in. Now we're, I believe, 5th and 6th respectively. We're right inside the playoff line.
We're in there, and we might squeeze out a home game. We'll see.
That's a big might because the East is tight.
Yeah.
Let me look this up. I think from 3rd to 4th, I think we're separated by 3 points or something like that. 3rd to like 9th. I should have Eastern Conference. So it's going to be 4 weeks of just yo-yoing and up and down and yada yada. So it's pretty much anyone's bet. But we went from, I'll speak as a New York Red Bulls fan, we went from losing 6 games straight, maybe more than that, unwinning. I know that's not the right word, but not a winning record, to now having 8 unbeaten.
8.
So,
That's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot for you guys.
That's a lot for any guys. Okay, that's a lot for anybody.
That sounded condescending. Unduly. That was unduly condescending. I apologize.
Very unduly. You know why? You know why we won? Because we had a little bit of this.
Jetzt ist es ich gegen ihn oder euch oder egal. It's us against them.
It's us against them from the great Jesse March, former New York Red Bull super legend. Thank you very much.
It's too bad for the English-speaking audience. This is not as funny, unfortunately. But we will not stop playing Jesse March's German efforts because they are amazing.
Why don't you explain for the audience, the layman, what's going on in that little audio clip?
I mean, what did he say? I don't even.
Well,
I'm not even. You may have to play.
He's having problems. I'll play it again. He's having problems. I think this is it.
Jetzt ist es ich gegen ihn oder euch oder egal.
Now it is me against you or them, or us against them.
Yeah, pretty much. He's having problems conjugating his German. Yeah, he wants to say it's us against them, but he doesn't really know the right words because he's being really passionate. So he's going us, euch. Uns, egal, means you, them, whatever.
You, them, anybody. It's us against whoever.
Yeah, exactly. So he's getting it out there. He's already much better with the German now, but I just love it. I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm looking at the Eastern Conference standing. New England Revolution clinched the Supporters' Shield with 70 points. Bruce Arena seems nonplussed, which is hilarious because of how important of a title that's been for my New York Red Bulls. I don't know if you know this, Bjorn, but the New York Red Bulls have won 3 Supporters' Shields, I believe. I think 13, 15, and 18. I want to say it feels great. It feels great. Maybe you guys will, you'll know what it feels like at some point. But all I'll say is it feels pretty dang great.
It's not going to be this year.
No, not for either of us. But I always remember Thierry Henry and the great canceled Mike Petke, one of our great coaches, New Rebels man.
Man,
walked up. Thierry Henry grabs his arm and says, "You wanted this. You deserve this. You've been waiting for this." Gives him the Supporters' Shield. He shows it to the fan section, and we're cheering. And it's a beautiful moment. And New England Revolution seems not have that attitude because they want the MLS Cup, which is fine. But anyway, long story short, they're at 70 points. Second place, 49 points. There's a 21-point gap between first and second. Philadelphia Union with 49, Nashville 49, Orlando 47. So between second place and ninth place, we're separated by 8 points.
Yeah.
But 8th, 7th, 6th, and 5th are all 43 and 44 respectively. So DC, Montreal, and maybe Miami will sneak in there towards the end. Maybe. Miami just destroyed, I think, who was it? Toronto. They destroyed someone 5. I should look this up. They had a great game over the weekend. I think they beat someone 5-0.
We are playing them on Saturday, Miami, on the road. So
that's going to be a big game because they're still playing. They still have playoff hopes, and they've just, like I said, you hit 6, they hit 5 over the weekend, so they're also in pretty decent form. That'll be a fun match, the NYC Inter Miami game. Definitely something to watch.
And then we have Philly in our final game. Yeah, this is all happening very quickly now.
That's right. We did 2-1. We have DC United on Wednesday, so hopefully you buttered them up for us. You destroyed them. Also, is it me or does the DC United coach look like the Colorado Rapids coach? Like every time I cut to him, he was in like Colorado Rapids colors. It was the DC United thing. He was just every time I cut to him, I'm like, why are they showing the Colorado Rapids coach in this DC United?
I heard that he is considered quite handsome by MLS coach standards.
He's handsome, dude. Yeah. I'm just saying his colors. He had this weird. He had that like dark purple Colorado color. I don't know.
So you mean when you're saying the Colorado coach, you mean Pablo Mastroianni in his
I'm saying
days?
The DC United coach. When I got to be clear, every time I cut to him, he was in that purple shirt and a purple hat.
Oh,
they
colors.
Had the Colorado colors.
Okay.
But it was a DC United. It's the DC United coach. It was a DC United hat. Why is it purple? Am I colorblind or something?
I don't know.
All I know is it cut to him, and I thought it was the Colorado Rapids coach. Just an observation by yours truly. Okay, so it's real tight there in the East. Let's check out on the West real quick. The West is not as tight. I think they're a little bit more open. Conference standings. Should have opened this ahead of time. The Western Conference shows me the NBA standings. Come on, MLS, let's do this. There you are. LAFC with 72 points? No, what the? It's the 2019.
LAFC, what?
I was going to say, that's not true at all. Oh, Google. Now here we are. Seattle Sounders on top with 58. And then Vancouver with 44. Real Salt Lake with 42 with a game in hand. So there is some action there, too. I guess I was mistaken. Fourth place Portland's at 46. And then ninth place LAFC's at 41. So they're also pretty tight there. A lot of teams trying to sneak in there last minute on both sides of the coast. So an exciting next few weeks here for Major League Soccer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Try to think other news and notes from the league. We had Inter Miami did well. Rev Sports Tribune. The couple of things I wanted to mention was, did you see Leget's karate kick goal there at the death?
I did, yeah.
It was such a fun goal. It was literally just a karate kick. So for those of you out there, check it out.
He's a fun player. Yeah,
maybe it's the return of his form. He's been a little sleepy poopy the last month and a half. Yeah. Hopefully he's getting back in the swing of things at the right time. So we got Mexico in November for the U.S., so that'd be good. The other thing is, did you see the Tim Meal? Yeah.
If you had told the Galaxy supporters that they'd be 5 points ahead of LAFC at this point, they would have been very excited before the season.
Oh, they definitely would have taken it. Chicharito scoring goals, a little injured, but still scoring some goals. Another news and note with MLS was the Tim Melia tackle on Christian Roldan. Did you see that?
I did see that. That was crazy. How is that not a red card?
And it gets worse. It gets better. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, not any other Dwayne Johnsons, not Dwayne, not The Rock Johnson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson retweeted it and said, this is a straight up WWE slam move. And then MLS, the league that officiated the game, retweeted him and says, I know, right? Just like, isn't that crazy? And it's like, okay, MLS, but that's your referee association. They're just, if you can't beat them, join them. They're like, yeah, I know, it is crazy.
Leaning into your bread. Yeah, our ref sucks. Isn't that crazy? Check it out.
Speaking of refs sucking, real quick, unless you have any other thoughts on this thing, did you see that great, terrible goal call in the USL? We're going minor league. Oh, here we have a comment from Celluloid Simple. Yeah, that was The Rock's finishing move. What's it called? He had a special finishing move. I forgot what it's called. But MLS is getting in there and retweeting it, and it's MLS just dying to be like, The Rock mentioned us on his Twitter. That's more exposure than we've gotten in years. So I'm all about that.
MLS social media, they'll do anything for if humiliation is okay, as long as there's numbers, as long as there's engagement.
As long as there's engagement. Those are the rules that we should also follow as well. One day The Rock will retweet us. Even if it's Dwayne, not The Rock Johnson. Even if it's just a guy named Dwayne Johnson. I'll take any retweets I can get. So the USL had a game. Did you see this, by the way? It's kind of went viral. I did not. I couldn't tell you who the teams are. I should double check it. But the way it worked is a defender kicked it back, did a back pass. It missed the goalkeeper, and it went into the goal. And then the referee whistled it and said, this is a goal kick, as opposed to an own goal. And the other team's like, what? What are you talking about? Why is it a goal kick? And then later the referee said there's a rule where from a free kick, you can't kick it back into your own goal.
Yeah.
However, this was not a free kick. It started as a free kick. It passed it over to some other defender, and the defender passed it in the goal. So any ref worth of salt would know that's an own goal. So guess what they're doing? They are going to replay the whole game from that minute, from the 60th minute or whatever it was. And
that's
they're just going to replay that last 30 minutes. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
No, I have not. It seems like I didn't think that was a thing.
I don't think it is a thing. But I think the USL Pro is like, you know what? It got viral. We definitely screwed up.
We'll do it
again.
So
let's just replay the last 30 minutes, which is freaking crazy.
Incredible.
To me. I've seen that. Yeah.
The rock bottom. We're told by Celluloid Simple that the Rock's finishing move is called the rock bottom.
the rock bottom. And for those of you listening
Thank
to the
you.
podcast, we have a chat here on the YouTube stream and the Twitch stream and any of other streams. And if you'd like to engage with us, feel free to comment on the chat, and we will talk about it, because this is
Guaranteed.
a fan-run, guaranteed.
At this point, guaranteed. We'll
Definitely
talk about
guaranteed. I can't tell you how many live streams I go on and they ignore my comments. We do not ignore comments.
We will not
okay?
ignore your comments. That's true.
The Schnitzel boys do not ignore comments.
No.
You got something to say, we will comment on it. So we have the rock bottom, and MLS was all about a goalkeeper doing the rock bottom on a defender, which in normal soccer world would just have been a straight red card for the goalkeeper. He literally wrapped his arm around and slammed him on the floor.
I mean,
all right,
Christian Roldan was being irritating.
Yeah, I when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I support Tamilia. However, that is at least a yellow card, at least a yellow, but probably a red.
He definitely went all in on the finishing move.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our beautiful MLS. Like I said, we've got some really exciting next few weeks coming up. Do you have any last thoughts
on MLS? I just have. I think we should have a brief interstitial, maybe talking about what happened to Man United.
Well, two things. I realize the other thing, it's just worth a Google, is the Major League Soccer players released all their salary information too over the week. And like usual, the top 10 highest paid players do nothing, and all the most valuable players are vastly underpaid. Josie Altidore, who scored a goal over the weekend, by the way. Maybe Josie's back. Maybe Josie's getting back. He makes $3.6 million a year.
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah, I saw his goal. Just injuries really have robbed him of most of his career, whatever you think of him.
Yeah. He had a great season in Holland. His prime at Toronto was really good, but the rest of that was a lot of promise. He started his career here at the old New York Red Bulls and did very good for us back when he was 17. But his career's been a lot of ups and downs. But you know what? I have a dream where he gets healthy and he gets in scoring form and he becomes that veteran off the bench number 9 for a 2022 World Cup. Maybe next to Bobby Wood. Who knows?
This is going to be
Monarchs, Bobby Wood.
We're going to have an ongoing. This is going to be an ongoing segment of U.S. men's national team fantasies. The dream, hopes and dreams of the U.S. men's national team fantasies. If you're
we'll do that right after.
If you're counting on Josie. Yeah, that is really that's good luck.
We'll do that right after our MLS Unsolved Mysteries segment.
That's right. Yes.
Why the coach was left, what happened to Ali Curtis. Remember when Preki was missing for 6 weeks?
Yes. Or when Lothar Matthäus went to Saint-Tropez instead of going to practice. Yeah.
Right. And then Yuri Djorkaeff famously went home to quote-unquote to his family during the 2006 World Cup. And then in a live broadcast was just shown they like zoomed into him like, that's Yuri Djorkaeff. And JP Delacamera, the play-by-play, is like, he's supposed to be with the New York Red Bulls right now. That is weird. 100% got caught red-handed on a global broadcast. So maybe that mystery isn't so unsolved, but there are many MLS unsolved mysteries out there.
MLS seems mysterious, but usually there are explanations, and we will uncover them.
We're thinking.
What are you thinking about?
Another one of my drops. I realize I should have had the X-Files theme. I don't. I'll have it ready for next time. And we really do the unsolved mysteries thing. All right. So, you want to talk Manchester United, you said?
Well, I have a drop, and this is it. I don't know. Hopefully this will work. Yeah.
That's Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. I mean, you had to kind of love it, right? What happened to
I think so. What's weekend? The buyer's remorse? The Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Or Christian? No, Schadenfreude is happiness at the misfortune of others.
Oh, so you're having Schadenfreude to Manchester United.
I'm having Schadenfreude. Yeah.
I thought you meant Manchester United has Schadenfreude. I'm like, to who?
Mean, it is.
They're the ones.
I mean, we all enjoy a train wreck every once in a while, and this was it. No, I mean,
Manchester United has been a train wreck ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left. Boom! I just dropped the mic. All right, David Moyes, who was a disaster at the time, doesn't look so bad now, does he? In fact, they might even hire him. Louis van Gaal was supposed to fix it. Louis van Gaal, boring, didn't fix anything. Jose Mourinho is a freaking fraud and a con man, and they found that out. Jeez, do you see Jose Mourinho throw Brian Reynolds out to dry and his team losing 6-1 to Norway's Bodo Glimt in the Europa Conference League, and Jose Mourinho just blames his players. It's like, dude, you're the coach.
Yeah.
Roma is worth, I mean, how the salaries of Bodo Glimt combined is probably one of the salaries on one of the Roma's players, head player. I'm sure of it.
Probably.
Something like that. And you know, I digress. But all I'm saying is that Manchester United has been, I mean, honestly, since the Glazers bought them, they just have been a shell of the former selves, and I don't know how to fix them.
I mean, what sort of delights me specifically is that, you know, they bring in Ronaldo and it all kind of falls apart after that, which is I mean, because in seriousness, they were the runner-up last year, and you know, it was kind of a fluky loss in the Europa League final. I mean, they were not this bad last season.
Well, what I will say is Manchester United being second place last year was based on all the other teams shooting themselves in the foot. Manchester United, I think, has always been as good as it's been, and their place is entirely dependent on the other teams. And a team like Manchester United, I like how we're talking all things German, American soccer, but now we're talking Manchester.
Well, this is just
long
a
story
global
short,
phenomenon.
It's a global phenomenon.
And I used a German word to describe it.
That's right.
That's all we need.
They were destroyed by the greatest German coach in the world today,
Yeah.
Jürgen Klopp.
Yeah.
You know, they need a German coach of their own. You know what? If Manchester United, I would spend millions of billions of dollars to get Julian Nagelsmann in there. You know what I'm saying?
Why
or
would
someone like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Money. I'm sure Manchester United could pay more than Bayern. I could be wrong, but I assume they could. Yeah, so, you know, I read an article where the domestic boys like him, but the foreign boys do not, or something. And I'm just like, where do you even get that kind of information?
I mean, you have to love the anonymous, you know, the anonymous dressing room sources, which really it's just people's agents, right, falling over each other to talk to the press and influence the narrative. The
Manchester United press emails them surveys. It's like, fill out these surveys real quick just so we could quote percentages in our articles.
There was
it's bonkers.
Yeah, there was an article in The Athletic today about how Conte would take the job, which clearly was spoon-fed by Conte's agent to this reporter. Like journalism, access journalism at its finest. Anyway.
Conte's a great coach, but he gets fired after a year. So if Manchester United wants to win a title real quick, then fire their coach. Antonio Conte is the man. So hopefully they get... who was the other one? It was Zinedine Zidane, who I think would be an interesting choice. The Manchester United's problems aren't coach related. They're player acquisition related. They're structural. There's an American phrase, I think, in NFL or whatever. Teams don't win championships. Organizations win championships. And I agree with that. You know, like the New England's having such a great year because Bruce is running both the coaching and the player personnel. He's got a lot of great assistants on his side. He's done excellent scouting. He has the limited support of Robert Kraft, the great guilt-free Robert Kraft, the man who is immaculately... I don't know what I'm getting at. Essentially, I'm just saying Robert Kraft is dirty, but he will support the New England Revolution despite his limited resources. And they could very well win this year, and it's because they just have everything, every part of the entire organization doing it right, and the feels are good. So Manchester United needs a whole overhaul.
You mean Manchester United needs to be more like the New England Revolution?
They need to hire Bruce Arena. I would pay so much money for Manchester United to hire Bruce Arena. He'd probably do well, dude. I'm curious. That could go either way. It could be a disaster, like a la Bob Bradley Swansea, or it could be a frickin' success, you know, like he frickin' solved it, which I think he would do a pretty bang-up job of Manchester United, man. I really do think he would.
Well, the chances of that happening are about
0%.
Quiz,
Bjorn. I have a quiz for you, Bjorn.
Okay.
This is maybe, this is maybe before your American soccer fandom, but
All right.
Bruce Arena, after the 2006 World Cup, was offered a coaching position from a European club, and he turned it down. He to this day thinks maybe he should have said yes to it, but that could very well have started Bruce Arena's sojourn into European soccer. Do you know what club offered him the coaching position after the 2006 World Cup?
I don't. I'll guess Athens, Greece.
Okay, you're on the right track. It's not Greece. It's in Denmark. The club's in Denmark.
Oh, all right.
It's a big hint. So you got one for me? That's just any Danish club.
Club in Denmark? Well,
Yeah. Do you know any of them? All right. I will tell you. You give one guess, and then I'll tell you.
Oh no, you have to. You got to tell me now.
A great American by the name of Christian Cappy scored there last weekend. The whole stadium was chanting USA, USA, USA. That club is Brøndby.
Oh, right.
The great Danish club of Brøndby. I believe the first club of one Peter Schmeichel, one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. I believe. I have to Google that, but I think that's true.
Right.
I think Peter Schmeichel and Oliver Kahn played against each other when Peter Schmeichel was at Brøndby and Oliver Kahn was at Karlsruhe, and Peter Schmeichel played barehanded. He didn't have any gloves on because he's a freaking beast.
That's badass.
It is really badass. And little Oliver Kahn is like, dang, that's badass. Cool. All right. I think it might be, unless we're missing something, is it time for...
Play it again.
Oh, did it not work?
No, it did.
All right.
You just, yeah.
Or should we stay in? Because we did want to talk Hudson River Derby attendance, didn't we? For a little bit.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was pretty. Well, I guess You saw that thing from Herc Gomez and Sepp Salazar saying, "What happened to the Hudson River Derby? Derby? It's really Derby.
Derby.
Right?
Well, it's spelled Derby because we're American, but it's a British term. It's a Britishism, so it's Derby. Derby, right?
I think the English say
we have
Derby.
the London
weird.
Derby.
I don't feel right saying Derby. But is it
what do we say? Derby? Yeah, we say Derby.
I'll say Derby.
Well, the Kentucky
River
Derby, right? The Kentucky Derby. So
it's okay.
The Hudson River Derby. But it's not just the Hudson River Derby. The New York Red Bulls have had, they have less than half a house every time. I'm pretty sure NYCFC is something similar. The fans just aren't coming out in general, right? Now, I'm wondering, how COVID related is that?
Well, I think it is, COVID related to some extent. I think everywhere numbers are down. I think at all sporting events throughout the U.S. But in the case of NYCFC, I think there is some kind of the fan discontent is real. We definitely, this Saturday, the DC United game, there was fewer people there than any time this season once they started allowing full attendance. This was a pretty sparse crowd on a Saturday night. And it seems like this stadium issue maybe is becoming a life or death thing for the team. In the past, Yankee Stadium was the one place that people would show up for, and Red Bull Arena, our sort of adopted home venue for part of the season. The attendance. Please laugh all you want. We deserve it. And people really were not excited about that. Nobody showed up for those games. And now even Yankee Stadium was very, very poorly attended. And I'm not sure exactly what it is, if people are just so fed up with the team, or there is something sort of about the fan base that's a little fair weather, like they're not it's inexplicable in some ways. We're still in the playoff race. There's the season is not over. The team has been good for large stretches of the season. There's been some, of course, lately there's been a slump, but people are also very critical in ways that I don't always understand, and there's just a lot of negativity.
Would you say like most of the fans are plastic? Would you say that?
Well, this is actually, it's funny you say that, because that's what I was talking to somebody about. Like we sort of reject this plastics label. The Red Bulls fans call us plastics fans, and we sort of reject that. But there is something to that. Apparently, the people really do not show up, and it's too bad. We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
What are you thinking about?
Yeah, we're thinking about that we need a stadium.
I love how, firstly, I love that NYCFC is just like, New York has a team. We'll figure out the stadium. Don't worry about it. There'll probably be a stadium next year. It's like, are you kidding me? The New York Giants and New York Jets can't build a stadium here. What makes you think a new soccer team can build a stadium here?
But I mean,
they're still trying. I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
But if you're a fan of the team, what does that mean? Would you rather the team didn't exist? Like,
no, of course not. That has nothing to do with it. That should be crazy.
I'm saying from a fan point of view, it's like, I understand from the league's point of view. In retrospect, maybe they should not have allowed this team to start without having a stadium plan in place. You could say that since then, this hasn't happened, right? Every new team in the league has had a stadium plan pretty. I mean, we'll see what happens in Miami, but they have this sort of intermediate place that's theirs, and and
Lockhart,
so
the old faithful, it's killed like multiple teams in the past.
That's right.
So we'll see how it does with Inter Miami. No, and in their defense, they were very close to building a stadium in Queens. I think they even had a pen to paper contract, and they just jumped the gun maybe a little bit too much. That fell apart, and then ended up being much more difficult. And COVID probably didn't help at all. I believe a stadium will come at some point. It's going to take some time. Just got to figure it out. The other thing is, in your defense, Red Bulls fans aren't coming out either, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Now, there is COVID, but there is a whole discontentment. I'll tell you, this season, right before the unbeaten streak started, was pretty hopeless. It was just a squad of nameless journeyman players, a journeyman coach, and we weren't winning anything. We weren't playing super well either, and the coach just went on the Struba. Struba, the coach, who is Mr. Maybe a little too sad.
Alles klar, Herr Kommissar.
Struba, alles klar, Herr Kommissar. He, every week he'd be like, the boys aren't hungry enough. The boys aren't hungry enough. And it's just like, yo, that's you. You're the coach.
Yeah. These
players won before. Sean Davis is as far as I know, 2-time Shields winner. Like they've played well before. That's on you. And then they turn it around. They're a little scrappy, but they got their unbeaten streak going. From what I hear, the players are really rallying around the coach. They like the coach. They like Struba. So when teams win, people start showing up. However, they haven't been showing up yet. So I don't know if it's too late or what. I just don't get what's going on either.
I was talking to someone at the stadium on Saturday, and he was saying, "Oh, it's welcome to New York. We only like winners." But that's not really true. The Knicks fans have been hanging in for how long? Like they won the first 2 games of the season. Everybody's
we like crazy. Winners. The New York Yankees is the only winning team in New York.
They haven't won the World Series. I mean, it's and I mean, name your team: Mets fans, Knicks fans, Giants, Jets fans have
Brooklyn Nets
supported shitty teams for decades with great enthusiasm. So it's not a New York thing. It's a
hockey teams.
I think this is should be a lesson or a warning to people, who talk about promotion, relegation, all these people by and large don't care that much about soccer. There is just not that level of commitment or passion that you see in Europe or Germany, England. People are very, very, they're happy to show up when things are going well, when it's nice out. I mean, even over the last 7 years, you could see when it's raining, attendance drops in half, right away. Like people, it's like, oh, it's raining, let's not go. I mean,
by the way, it's raining here in Los Angeles. It's a cold, rainy day in Los Angeles, which is very rare, and everything is closed, and no one is out, and the whole city's just shut down because of the rain. And it's like, okay, It's like I literally went to my bagel place this morning. I couldn't find it because the lights were off. They just decided not to open today because of the rain. Imagine New York, a bagel place not opening because of rain. Yeah, but what I will say is it depends on the market. Like Atlanta does a really good job. Seattle does a good job. Toronto does a good job. Portland does well. There's a lot of excitement in Austin. Like there are some LA does a pretty dang decent job. You know, there are some, for whatever reason, New York and NYCFC was very exciting. I thought it was a very good time, and there was a lot of excitement at the time. But for whatever reason, it's just hard to capture the hearts and minds of New Yorkers for a long period of time. Maybe they'll just have to ebb and flow or something. Or maybe it's more COVID-related than we realized. In a place like New York where everyone's on top of each other, it's an easier choice to stay in as opposed to go out a lot of the time, especially during COVID, you know. But, yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. We'll see. Imagine if both these teams make it to the playoffs and no one's there to watch it. That'd be so weird.
Yeah, it's we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Do you like that? No. All right. Enough America talk. We love America. We love the MLS. We got super exciting. We got some games coming up. Now it's time to head across the pond.
We have yet to
talk
the
mother
about
country.
the Bundesliga.
Deutschland and the Champions League. Deutschland.
Oh my God.
We can talk about it real brief. To think.
The only game that mattered, Bochum.
Do it up. Enjoy yourself.
My team, my German team, for those listening, is VfL Bochum, newly minted back in the Bundesliga. I have not been optimistic. They are a small market team. We do not have a big budget. We really are trying to survive in the big league with our second Bundesliga squad. Very few additions. But we won last week in Fürth, and we won again 2-0 against Frankfurt, and it was a pretty convincing victory where last week I thought we got a little lucky with a late set piece goal in what looked to be a scoreless tie. This was an early goal, a very good performance throughout, and then a late goal to seal it off. First it was Danny Blum not celebrating against his old team, Frankfurt. And then at the very end, Sebastian Polter, who really seemed like he's just on the team to hold up the ball, like he would never score a goal ever, but he did at the end of the game. And
real quick, who did Eintracht Frankfurt beat 2 weekends ago?
Yeah, Bayern
München, the only.
So that means we are now.
This year.
So that is an incredible turnaround. After losing to them 7-0 a few weeks ago, we are now better than Bayern Munich officially.
Well done.
So that is an enormous turnaround. And
does that mean that Bochum is the?
Richtig, genau. I'm the butcher master.
That's right.
Yes.
Bochum is the butcher master. So for those of you at home, or of course everyone's somewhere else, but Bochum is part of the German Ruhr, which is the German Rust Belt.
That's right.
So in American terms, Bochum would be kind of like a Marshall from West Virginia. Is that a little too small? Or better yet, maybe Detroit or Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I generally use Detroit as a reference. Yeah,
Well, in my mind, Detroit and Pittsburgh and Buffalo. You know what? Detroit and Pittsburgh are Schalke and Dortmund, and Bochum's like Buffalo. How about that?
Well, that's the thing about geographically that doesn't make any sense. But I understand what you mean.
You understand what West Belt wise.
In terms
old
of
Industrial Revolution wise,
Yeah, I mean the geography is important. For those who don't know, that Bochum is sort of squeezed in geographically right in between Schalke and Dortmund. 5 miles or 8 miles to the west, it's Schalke. 8 miles or 12 miles to the east, it's Dortmund. So Bochum will never be, will always be a small market team, and will always have to rely on youth and scrappiness. And I really did not think that they had enough quality, especially offensively, to survive this year. But I now have hope. 2 wins in a row, and a very convincing performance. We'll see.
Yeah, I should look up the standings real quick. Are they still 15?
14 even, right? We're past Frankfurt. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Frankfurt, one of those clubs that, need to get their act together a little bit. Yeah, Frankfurt 15. Augsburg had a very terrible loss against Köln, I believe. It was pretty heavy.
And then Bielefeld and Fürth.
Nothing.
And Fürth managed to bolster Jesse Marsch's job security.
So, I want to talk about that game for a little bit.
All right.
Really fun game. Love watching Leipzig. Again, like a roller coaster. So, at the end of the first half, Fürth had 7 shots on goal to Leipzig's 3. Greuther Fürth had a penalty right before the half, so they were up 1-0 at the half. And I'm thinking, does RB Leipzig have Greg Berhalter's disease? Do they have a bad first half, good second half disease? And what did Leipzig do? They came out, they scored, I want to say, it was definitely 2 goals by the 51st minute. 5 minutes in, they were up again. And they ended up winning the game 4-1, totally dominant in the second half. And it was a great 4-1 victory for RB Leipzig. They are getting better. They are getting strength to strength. Still not 100% convincing, but because their game against PSG a few days ago still played well, but they lost to a later goal. Unfortunately, Tyler Adams didn't have a great opportunity on I believe, their equalizing goal, and PSG won 3-2. So they're still not maybe as strong as they were last season, but they're getting there. They're figuring out. I think Jesse Marsch's overhaul is playing through. They skip the midfield. They play fast on the counter. But what I will say, against smaller teams at home, to play on the counter is pretty crazy. And I think that's what the first half was. But hey, man, they're doing it. They're going for it. And
I thought they looked very good in the PSG game, actually, and got a little unlucky there, I thought.
Yeah, and it wasn't all on Tyler Adams. I think he passed it. Someone passed it right back to them that probably should not have, and then he was pounced on, and then it led to a counter. And I believe Bessie scored on that counter, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, but only also a little bit. It was saved initially and then hit the post. I mean, could have. It's a game of inches, right? That's what they say.
Do they? I think they say about football.
Or centimeter. It's a game of centimeter.
Centimeter. Yeah, 100%. The other note about that game, there were 3 Americans all on the bench. Tyler Adams coming off the second half, and Julian Green, and Tillman, another great German-American, who has been, in his limited minutes, has been looking pretty good with Greuther Fürth. He got that great assist a couple weeks ago. One to keep an eye on. All right. We had Freiburg, Wolfsburg. Maybe we'll save that one for later. We had Hertha Gladbach. Hertha won 1-0. But what I'll tell you is Joe Scally, the young American for Borussia Mönchengladbach, was very dominant. Most of their opportunities were created by Scally.
What team did he come from again?
I believe he came from NYC.
Oh,
I believe he came from the Smurfs. The Smurfs.
Right.
He's a Smurf. He's a little Smurf. How many games did he play? Did you say that by contract he wasn't allowed to play?
No, it's true.
First team minutes?
He played very, very little.
Boys play. Caden Clark is playing. FIBA Leipzig. Tyler Adams played.
He was behind Anton Tinnerholm, who was the best right back in the league last season for sure, and pretty good this season until he tore his Achilles. But Scally's looking great.
Speaking of best wide backs, I didn't know Angelino was an NYCFC alum.
Yeah, the summer of '69. We remember it well.
Oh yeah, right. The reason I didn't remember it because in the news Charles Manson was caught. That's why. I got overshadowed by Angelino.
No, when I say summer of '69, that refers to his shirt number. He chose. Legendarily chose the number 69 for his.
Hey man, that makes him a legend to me.
Absolutely.
That makes him a total legend to me.
He was only there. He was only there for a year and a half. He had some injury issues and then left. But he definitely, you could see that he had talent. He was definitely a talented guy.
The dude had talent. But so, unfortunately, Gladbach dropped it. But I'm telling you, Joe Scally is becoming a pretty confident, legit wingback. Augsburg, Köln destroyed Augsburg. Augsburg in definitely free fall. Not like Bochum is doing much better than Augsburg right now. Bayern Hoffenheim, typical Bayern dominance. Choupo-Moting. Does anybody score more goals with less minutes? Choupo-Moting.
The human victory cigar. Choupo-Moting.
Bayern München plays Union Berlin next week, and that is one to watch. I'm going to call it right now. Union Berlin is going to get a result. They're going to get a result, man.
$20? What are you?
20 euro. 20 euro.
20 euro.
Union Berlin, I think 1-1 or something. I think 1-1 or 0-0. Maybe even a win from Union Berlin. Those people are scrappy. And Urs Fischer is a great coach. And if I were a team like, say, Wolfsburg, I would be sniffing down his back. Is that a phrase?
Sniffing down his back?
That's not a
Why
phrase.
would you do?
I don't know.
To what end would you?
I have sniffing all the way down his back. I would be breathing down his neck, I think is what I was looking for. Not sniffing down his back. Yeah, that's very much a...
We're thinking.
What are you thinking about?
What are you thinking about?
Okay, and the other game was Dortmund-Bielefeld. Confident 3-1 victory from Dortmund.
Without Haaland.
No Haaland, but Jude Bellingham's goal was like a Maradona-style goal.
Yeah.
Do you see that goal? Him running through everybody, whoop, 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 whoop. And those are the kinds of goals you wish there were more of. And he was just a really great goal from a young Jude Bellingham going from strength to strength.
I feel a little bad about how little confidence I had in this Dortmund team last week. I did not think they could mount a serious challenge this season. I still don't really, but I think maybe it's just 1 point right now.
Yeah, their point. Bayern München up top with 22. Dortmund right. What is it? Sniffing down their backs with 21
They're
points.
sniffing whatever. Yeah.
And Freiburg, the only team left undefeated in the Bundesliga in the brand Chinese stadium, under the great Christian Streich, one of my favorite coaches, right behind them with 19. Maybe Freiburg can go in with a shot. We'll see.
And they have Fürth at home next week, so there's a very good chance that streak could continue.
Union Berlin's going to beat Bayern München, and Freiburg's going to beat
Wait, they're
Fürth
going to beat
next
him
week.
now? No, it's not.
Well, they're going to
just-
get a result. They're going to get a result.
It's not just going to be a tie. They're going to beat him. All right.
Screw it. They're going to beat them 1-0. They're going to beat them 1-0.
They're going to shut out. They're going to shut out Bayern. All right.
Are they at the Forsterei? The Man from
they're-
Köpenick, one of my dad's favorite movies, an old German movie, if you've ever seen that one.
Yeah, I remember.
Probably. Have you seen it? I was going to say, it's definitely before your time.
Heinz Rühmann is the main starring in the lead. Yeah. This is a classic. Oh yeah.
I think it's called Der Hauptmann von
Der
Köpenick,
Hauptmann
right?
von Köpenick.
From Köpenick,
Yes.
Yeah. My dad talked to me about it once, and he's like, I got to order it from DVD. And I pulled up YouTube on his TV, and I'm like, I'm sure it's just on YouTube. And sure enough, it was on YouTube. A great source of old German movies from the 50s.
Yeah.
All right. And then last but not least, Freiburg, I believe, beat Wolfsburg 2-0, right? Was that the score?
Wait.
John Brooks.
Freiburg Wolfsburg?
No, what was the score here?
Oh, you're right. Yes, on the road. Yes.
On the road. So Wolfsburg, in week 5, Wolfsburg were the only team that had nothing but victories, right? I think they won the first 6 games under Mark van Bommel, a puzzling hire, if I don't say so myself. Wolfsburg
What made him a puzzling hire?
Well, Mark van Bommel's experience as a coach was in Holland, and he did not have a winning record. He was a nepotism hire. I believe someone on the Wolfsburg board, or the sporting director, was an old player friend of his. Again, I wish I had someone more from Wolfsburg to elaborate. But he was hired because in the great German coaching carousel of last year, how everyone switched boop, 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 Wolfsburg were the team that didn't have a chair in the musical chairs, you know. Nagelsmann went to Bayern. Marsch did go to Leipzig from Austria, so that was a, and then we had the Marco Rosa went from Gladbach to Dortmund, and then Oliver Glasner went from Wolfsburg to Gladbach, I believe, right? And then there was just a sort of a change of all the coaches just moved to a different club, which was weird. Wolfsburg were the odd man out, so they found Mark van Bommel, I think, like I said, through a friend of a friend. And here we are. He's the first man sacked. One of my favorite Britishisms. Sacked. Not fired. Sacked. He was sacked on October 24th, I believe, after not finding any points in 4 games, losing to Brendan Aronson's Red Bull Salzburg 3-1 in the Champions League midweek. I believe they have 0 points in the Champions League, or at least not much at all. They just went from being the strongest team to the worst team like that. Whoop, a total flip, kind of like Eintracht Frankfurt. So I'd be curious to see who they would bring in. Who are the available coaches?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
We'll bring Felix Magath back out of retirement or something.
Magath.
Or someone.
Stefan Effenberg.
I love for Stefan Effenberg. I think he lives in Florida doing his thing. Or no, he's in Germany, whatever. Things on Doppelpass. But you know who's available? Niko Kovac. That could maybe be. Maybe that's a match made in heaven. But I'm very curious what their next move is, because Wolfsburg had a great season last year under Oliver Glasner. They had the best defensive record. They were third place in the Champions League, and for everything just go falling apart.
They've won the league in the last 20 years, which there's not that many teams other than Bayern who can say that.
Graffici, remember Graffici?
Oh my God, that legendary the goal with his heel,
the back pass,
back pass, amazing.
Google Graffici Wolfsburg goal if you're bored. It's a great goal. But we'll see what happens with Wolfsburg. Other news and notes, Julia Nagelsmann, or as autocorrect says, Bagels Man in my notes, has COVID. So he has been out with COVID. And he has a second assistant who I believe is a former Bochum player, right? Dino Topmüller. Is he ever a Bochum?
Topmüller.
I'm Googling this now.
I remember Klaus Topmüller. He was a coach at Bochum for a while.
Yeah, the great. This is maybe his son or something. Dino Topmüller. I'm looking at because I think his dad is Klaus Topmüller. It's Klaus Topmüller's son. And Dino Topmüller played for VfL Bochum in 2001 to 2002. 12 appearances.
12 appearances. So I could
played for many clubs. His last club was RM Ham Benfica, whatever that club is. And before they played for Sportverein Mehring. He played for FSV Salmrohr. He played for F91 Dudelange. He played for all of them, dude. He played for Dudelange. He played for Salmrohr.
I'm going to be stripped of my Bochum fan credentials for not remembering him.
We're going to remember him now. Bochum was the biggest club. No, he was at Manchester City before Bochum. Man, different times. He went from Manchester City to Bochum. Different times, I'll tell you that. Anyway, he is the Bayern München assistant, and he has been helming the sidelines.
Good for him.
And Joshua Kimmich has come out and said that he is not vaccinated and will not get vaccinated. What do you think about that?
Oh
boy.
Him and Kyrie Irving, I guess, can hang out.
Well, he funds a nonprofit that spreads awareness about getting people vaccinated. That's what the irony of it. And he said he's not against getting vaccinated. He just, as an athlete, is unsure of the long-term effects, and he just doesn't want to do it. It's just, maybe it's not super controversial. And then when Nagelsmann is asked about vaccination, he says his team probably has a better vaccination rate than anybody. He just says that he has no facts, which doesn't mean that everybody's vaccinated. I think he's just covering his own butt a little bit.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, I
guess vaxxed.
Yeah, let's do it. Are we getting? Anyway. We'll save the booster shot jokes for next week, maybe.
Yeah, I think I have to get mine around Halloween. Am I not gonna get a booster shot? Nine. All right. Let's see.
On that note, yeah. Should I start the music?
Yeah. Any last thoughts? No, right?
I think.
All right. Oh, Köln Leverkusen derby. Anthony Modeste, 2 last-minute goals. Real quick, just a great derby, and Anthony Modeste is such a Köln legend. That's all I have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's edition of the Schnitzel Boys.
Shout out to our one viewer. You're going to tell your grandkids about this.
You are going to tell your great-grandkids about this. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, like and give us a review, rather. On YouTube, like us, subscribe us, click that bell. Comment on us, and if you listen to us podcast, review, rate us, support us, Find us on the social medias and all that. Thank you very much. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche. Tschüss.
Mach's gut.
Mach's gut.